How's everyone doing today? I'm doing great because, well, I have another day getting to show and speak Philadelphia Phillies baseball with you all here. Welcome to Phillies Daily, everybody. I'm your host, Mike Kennelly. Make sure you guys subscribe for more Phillies content right here on Phillies Daily. You guys are much appreciated. You know that. Let's get right into it. I kind of wanted to start today with something I saw that I thought was a little bit funny, and that was obviously, we all know, Kyle Schwarber and that everything that happened with him this offseason after the end of the postseason, the regular season, how his Phillies tenure might have been over, but he ultimately re-signed that 5-year, $150 million contract to stay with our Philadelphia Phillies. Great move by them. We all know how much Kyle Schwarber means not only to this team, the locker room, but as to really everybody in the Phillies organization and the community of Philadelphia and the surrounding counties and all of that as well. He's just a great guy to have on your side, so you can't be mad about it. Yeah, he's getting older. Yeah, it's a lot of money. Yeah, it's a lot of years, but at the end of the day, you're a better team right now with Kyle Schwarber in your lineup than you are without him. But we all also know that Kyle Schwarber was a hot commodity this offseason. A lot of teams wanted Kyle Schwarber. He's arguably the next best option as a designated hitter in Major League Baseball. He was the National League MVP runner-up to the top option, Shohei Ohtani with the Los Angeles Dodgers. So Kyle Schwarber, he really could have been plugged in any lineup in Major League Baseball, really, other than the Dodgers. So Phillies are lucky to have him back. One of the top teams that were interested in Kyle Schwarber were his hometown Cincinnati Reds. And I thought it was funny. This is why I wanted to talk about it, because obviously he's here and it really doesn't matter anymore. But Bob Nightingale, you might know him if you obviously follow along Major League Baseball, which I'm assuming you do to some capacity if you're here watching a Phillies podcast here at Phillies Daily. But nonetheless, Bob Nightingale put out a recent article piece on USA Today, I believe it was. Now, if you don't know Bob Nightingale, he's one of the top MLB insiders. He's a journalist, all that fun stuff. So he was kind of writing about and talking about Kyle Schwarber's free agent market before he ultimately re-signed with the Phillies here this offseason. Obviously, he mentioned that he was in high demand. Pretty much every team or a lot of teams interested in Kyle Schwarber before he re-signed with the Phillies, including some teams that you probably didn't really initially think would be in the running. Obviously, the Pittsburgh Pirates were one of those teams. They're not really known to be making big moves like that and attracting these huge free agent profiles or even trade guys and trade rumors, all that kind of stuff. But they were in on Kyle Schwarber, among some other big free agents as well. They also made some notable moves this offseason so far. So good offseason for the Pirates. Good for them, our Pennsylvania fellow friends over there out to the west. But he also mentioned, obviously, the Cincinnati Reds. Again, Kyle Schwarber grew up around that area. Cincinnati Reds fan growing up, his hometown. It seemed like that was the next logical destination for Kyle Schwarber if he did not re-sign with the Phillies. Now, the really funny part about this that I wanted to mention, because obviously the Reds were in pursuit and serious pursuit, Bob Nightingale mentioned in this piece on USA Today. Again, I believe it was on if you want to go check it out if you haven't already. But he said that Kyle Schwarber ultimately told the Reds that it wasn't necessarily necessary to pursue him in free agency. He obviously wanted to be back with the Phillies. He loves it here. The Phillies wanted him back, and they ultimately got that job done with the 5-year, $150 million contract. So saying, no, you don't have to pursue me. It's not necessary. I know where I want to be. That's why I thought it was kind of funny. Now, he probably didn't say it word for word like that, but still funny that I was just reading through that piece and it said Kyle Schwarber ultimately said it wasn't necessary for the Reds to pursue him. So a little bit of funny stuff. Speaking of free agency, Kyle Schwarber obviously was one of the top free agents this offseason. Again, the National League MVP runner-up this past year. Just an incredible season with 56 home runs, leading the National League, 132 RBIs, leading Major League Baseball. Just an incredible season for Kyle Schwarber. Probably one that it's going to be hard to replicate, obviously, especially as he gets older. But still, great that he's back with the Phillies. But when will all these other top free agents sign with a new team? It's January, getting close to mid-January now, in fact. Spring training starts next month in February. The regular season not too far after that. And there's still a lot of big-name free agents available here this offseason. Really kind of, not surprisingly, because a lot of teams obviously always need bullpen help, including the Phillies. But relievers and the top-end relievers all got paid and got paid quickly this free agency. I think there was a total of 9 to 10 of these top free agent relievers that got significant paydays here, including the Phillies offseason acquisition, their free agent signing of Brad Keller to that 2-year, $22 million contract, to help out this bullpen in 2026 and 2027, maybe even further if he does well and gets another extension. But again, the reliever market was very hot and in high demand, and a lot of teams got some help early with that. But still, again, the top free agents are still available. A lot of the top free agents, I should say. There were some big free agents that signed, obviously Kyle Schwarber being one of them, a few others as well. But Kyle Tucker, the big name outfielder, Alex Bregman, the all-star third baseman, Bo Bichette, linked to the Phillies recently and has been linked to the Phillies throughout the offseason of this free agent process. He's still a free agent. The shortstop, second baseman, and then Cody Bellinger, another big name outfielder as well. Those are pretty much and were pretty much the four top free agents heading into this offseason. They're all still unsigned to this point of the offseason. There's a handful of starting pitchers, notable starting pitchers, that can really help a team as well that are still unsigned, including Ranger Suarez from our Philadelphia Phillies. Other notable players as well, including other Phillies, JT Realmuto, obviously we all know, Harrison Bader, but there's still a lot of impact players out there on the open market. When will all these guys sign, especially those top four free agents? I don't know. Does that really mean that some of these markets aren't kind of quite what a lot of these players, agents, and just teams thought it would be to this point? Or is this kind of just a waiting game type of thing, kind of chess game type of match this offseason with all these guys? Aren't in a hurry to sign. Obviously, again, teams were in a hurry to sign these relievers, but some of these impact position players and some of these other starting pitchers still trying to find homes. Again, spring training starts next month, the regular season not too far after. So it's kind of weird, kind of odd that this is happening, but maybe that helps the Phillies try to get a guy like Bo Bichette. Maybe that almost lowers the price tag a little bit more than it was expected coming in to the offseason. Maybe it doesn't, but the Phillies could still be, as a big market team, in on some of these top, or not even those top guys, maybe some of these other impact free agents as well. And we might not be done seeing the Phillies add to this 2026 roster. Hopefully we're not, because they definitely could benefit from adding at least another impact piece to this lineup. Hopefully they do, but it's still just odd to me that a lot of these top guys and a lot of these just very good players, not even the top guys as I mentioned, are still free agents here as we are pretty much approaching mid-January. Speaking of a waiting game that also feels like a waiting game, when will the Phillies finally break into this Japanese international player market here in baseball? They've been trying to do it. They've been committed to trying to get into this Japanese market for a long time now, continuously failing to land these big name, high profile players from the Japanese baseball leagues. Reportedly offer, if you remembered a few years ago, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, one of the top starting pitchers in Major League Baseball right now. He ultimately signed with the Los Angeles Dodgers, which shouldn't come as a shock. The Dodgers are probably the best team at landing these high-profile international Japanese players, just because they play on the West Coast. That's just how it works. But the Phillies did reportedly offer Yamamoto the most money before he ultimately signed with the Dodgers. So they were trying hard to get him. They were in on other guys as well, like Roki Sasaki recently and a few other guys. They obviously missed out this offseason on some of the top Japanese players as well. Munetaka Murakami signed that 2-year deal with the Chicago White Sox. They missed out on Tatsuya Imai, who signed with the Houston Astros. And then Kazuma Okamoto signed with the AL pennant champion from last year, Toronto Blue Jays. The other infielder, just like Munetaka Murakami is, they missed out on all those guys. They were linked to all of those guys throughout the offseason, even having said to have serious interest in a few of those guys, but still ultimately did not land any of them this offseason. So they failed to get into this Japanese market again, failed to attract these guys, failed to finally land these high-profile players from Japan. And it's probably just very frustrating for them, kind of frustrating for fans as well, because they really want to enter this talent pool as well and finally get an impact player like that from Japan. But we're going to have to keep on waiting for that, I guess. Again, the Dodgers have a ton of success of landing Japanese players. The Yankees have had some success in the past, the Seattle Mariners, the Chicago Cubs, a few others as well. But now it seems like the Houston Astros do as well. I just mentioned Tatsuya Imai, the starting pitcher. He signed with the Astros not too long ago here in free agency before his posting window closed. And the Astros owner, Jim Crane, actually recently said about signing Japanese players after getting Tatsuya Imai. He said, quote, "The Dodgers kind of led the way there, and I've got an international company, so it's pretty easy to set up there and give those guys a place to work. We'll be moving pretty fast in Asia." That probably shouldn't be something the Phillies want to hear because they already have to compete with the Dodgers. They're the best at getting these Japanese players. But now the Astros and their owners seem like they have a very clear and easy path to attract these Japanese players as well. And it's really just kind of a roadblock for the Phillies to finally get into this Japanese market that they've been trying so long to do. Will they ever get into this market? Who knows? I hope they do because there's a lot of good talent that comes from the international talent pool, especially Japan. So hopefully the Phillies can finally do it one of these years, hopefully maybe next year if there's somebody that's coming. But it remains to be seen if, when, and how this is going to happen for the Phillies in the future. Kind of shifting gears back to current free agents in Major League Baseball and not so much the international pool. But as I said to start this video, I was reading some pieces and I saw the Bob Nightingale piece about Kyle Schwarber and the Reds and the laughable kind of thing in that aspect. But I wanted to also highlight something I saw from ESPN's Buster Olney. He recently said that it seems, quote, inevitable that the New York Mets will sign either Ranger Suarez or Framber Valdez, who is formerly or potentially probably not going to be back, but he was with the Astros for his career. Another left-handed starting pitcher, very good. He said it's inevitable that the Mets will sign either Ranger Suarez or Framber Valdez this offseason heading into 2026, or the 2026 season, I should say. Nightmare fuel for the Phillies hearing that, especially Ranger Suarez. We don't want to see Ranger Suarez go to the Phillies' probably biggest rival in the NL East in Major League Baseball, the New York Mets. It would be awful to see Ranger Suarez playing for the Mets. So please don't sign with the Mets. Ranger Suarez anywhere else would be great, just not the Mets. Framber Valdez, on the other hand, also would not be good news for the Phillies. Again, he's another left-handed starting pitcher. A lot of success throughout his Major League career. He's 32 years old, veteran, two-time All-Star, 2022 and 2023 with the Houston Astros, 2022 World Series champ. Obviously, that season they beat the Phillies in the World Series, and he was incredible in that World Series against the Phillies. He had 2 starts, won both of those games, so he went 2-0 against the Phillies in that 2022 World Series. Had a 1.46 ERA, 18 strikeouts against the Phillies in 12 1/3 innings pitched during that 2022 World Series. So he had a lot of success. You probably remember that if you have been a Phillies fan for that long. And just wouldn't want to see him playing for the Mets either and facing the Phillies for probably multiple years on a multi-year deal. He's also been in American League Cy Young conversations multiple times throughout his career, and he also has had, like as I said, a lot of success in his career with the Astros. He got a 3.36 career ERA across 8 Major League seasons. So either Ranger Suarez or Framber Valdez is bad news if they end up signing with the New York Mets. As Buster Olney says, it's inevitable. Hopefully it's not Ranger Suarez, though. That would be an absolute nightmare for the Phillies and our fans, and me as well. I would hate that. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Phillies Daily. I'm your host, Mike Hennelly. Make sure you guys like, comment, share, and subscribe for more Phillies content right here on Phillies Daily. Much appreciated. You guys know that. Stay tuned with us all offseason long. We're getting closer and closer to baseball here again. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, go Phils.